Hey guys, I want to jump back into our Canva tutorials and show you or demonstrate how to create a logo in Canva. And also, more importantly, how to create the favicon, which is the little icon that appears if you see where my mouse is pointing. It's a little icon that appears in your browser tab of whatever web browser you're using. And as you know, almost every website has its own favicon. So I really recommend that you create a favicon for yourself. Favicon. I really don't know how to pronounce it. I say favicon. Anyway, I really recommend that you create a favicon for your website just so that when people go there, it's another way to add your branding to it. And it helps you really look more legitimate because sometimes you'll see one that just have a little web browser page and you can tell that they didn't create a custom favicon. That's just they don't have one. So it's just a way to look a little more professional, a little more legitimate. So definitely think about incorporating a favicon into your site. So what I'm going to do today, I'm not actually going to go into the logo design because I am not a designer, guys, okay? But I want to demonstrate when you do create a logo in Canva, some of the best practices you can use to make sure your logo is optimized for use on your site. So I've just used one of the templates here from Canva, this Heavenly Patty's burger joint. And you can see it does not stretch from corner to, it's not taking up the maximum real estate. So whenever you create your logo, you want to make it as big as you can within this 500 by 500 pixel square so that it's, just so that the image quality is the best that it can be whenever you get it onto your site. So what I've done whenever I've used designs or started off with designs from Canva logos, I'm just going to stretch this whole section. So you can see whenever I click on it, let me click out of it. When I hover over it, you can see the gray box appears. This is all grouped together. When I click in it, it gives me these options to stretch. So I'm just going to stretch this over to the edge. So I'm going to move it up to the top. Then I'm going to stretch it back over. Okay, now since it's not exactly a square, it's not going to go from top to bottom. So then I'm just going to say position, middle, center. Okay, so now this is about as big as it can get. What I might do is let me ungroup these, and shift just this guy down a little bit. I'm just using my down arrow to move it. Okay, now I can group these back together and maybe make them a little bit bigger. And again, I'll do middle, center. Okay, so then because I've made these graphics and the text bigger, whenever I go to download it, it's going to be in the highest, you're going to have the highest quality image that you can get by creating a design in Canva. Now, when I go to download, if you have the pro version of Canva, which I do, and if you're going to be using Canva a lot, and I know I've said this before, but if you're going to be using Canva a lot, I highly, highly recommend that you go with the pro version. It's $12.95 a month. And it allows you to pull in your regular brand colors, your custom fonts. So it's a great way to create that consistent look for all of your graphics that you create within Canva. So anyway, when you have the pro version of Canva and you go to download, it gives you the option to select a transparent background. So that's going to, instead of having a white background, it's going to give you what it says, a transparent background. So that way, if you are putting your logo on top of a black background or a gray background, it's going to show the gray background instead of the white. If you don't have the pro version of Canva, one of my friends has found a hack to this. I think it still works, where if you create your logo here on desktop, but if you go to the mobile version of Canva, excuse me, I've been a little sick, guys. I've got some allergy issues going on, so I had to get a drink of water. But if you jump over to the mobile version of Canva, then you can pull up the logo that you created in desktop, And it will give you the option, even if you don't have the free version, it will give you the option to download it with the transparent background. So that's what some people that I know lately have been doing if they don't have the pro version. I don't know how much longer that will last. I don't know if it's still valid today because I haven't tested it in a few weeks. But as of the last time I knew, that was still an option if you wanted to do that. So if you can download it with a transparent background, definitely do that. If you can't, go ahead and download it in the white. And then if you have Photoshop or if you know someone who has Photoshop, send it over to them and they can remove the white background and leave you with a transparent background. Anyway, kind of a side note, definitely transparent background is the best if you can do it. If you can't, then try to find someone who can help you with that. Okay, one of the other things that I want to show you, let's just create a copy of this logo. So to do that, I'm just going to copy page. And sometimes you've seen websites where they have a version that's more of like an up and down vertical type of logo like this, but then they also have a version where the image is off to the side and the text is to the right. So let's just reconfigure this to create that type of a logo also, because you might want to use one version of your logo in some places and the more horizontal version of your logo in other places, like in your header of your website. So let's ungroup all of this. And for now, I'm just gonna move this over here, and I am going to group these two together. I'm gonna move that, but of course we need, since you can either, you could resize this whole document, but for now we're just going to move things around. Okay. There, put that in the middle. Oh, that's not, I want to get the bottom of the burger joint more in line. There we go. And maybe shrink this down just a hair. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now you can download this. Let's go ahead and group these back together. But since this is not really, we can't center it or it'll look all wonky. So let's just kind of, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now you'll be able to download this. Of course, you would want to get it into a picture editor. Either if you're on Windows, you can just use their basic picture editor to crop out the top and bottom. And again, if you can download it as a transparent background, you want to do that. Okay, so now let's jump into just creating the favicon. I'm going to create another copy of this one. But for the favicon, because we have a lot of text in this, that's not going to show up in this little the little area of real estate that they give us for the favicon. So I'm just going to delete both text blocks. So let's ungroup. Now let's get rid of this. Delete. Delete. And now we can expand this to be as big as we can get. Middle and center. And that's going to be our favicon. So you're just going to, again, download this with a transparent background if you have that option. Otherwise, try to find someone who can help you remove the background after you download it. And then when you upload your favicon to your WordPress dashboard, it will be your icon that appears in your web browser. So whenever you're creating your logo, don't forget to think about your favicon. If you have a text-based logo, a lot of times, let's say we didn't have the little burger. Let's say we just had the Heavenly Patties burger joint. So maybe we just take the HP and we make that into our favicon. So we could, let's get this back to center, not that it really matters right now. And let's ungroup that to remove this. And maybe you can either do just HP like that, or maybe you want to take two different blocks. So maybe you take your H, make a copy of it, change that to a P. And maybe you just kind of arrange it Maybe we do something like that. And then you can group these together. And guys, again, not a graphic designer. Don't judge me. And you can see they don't line up perfectly well, but for these purposes, that's okay. Just trying to give you some ideas. Excuse me. So again, we're going to middle, center, make that a little bit bigger. And then that could be your favicon if you were text-based only. So if you're, if you have both an image and text, then try to go with your image for your favicon. If you're text-based only, then just use some initials or some kind of abbreviation for your entire logo. And of course, if your entire logo is just a graphic, then usually you can get away with just using that same graphic as your logo. All right, guys. Well, I hope you learned a little bit about logos and favicons and how to create them to optimize your image in Canva. I'll see you in the next one.